In this film, we're going to have a little look at what to keep in and what to keep out. And that will have an implication in terms of our branding and our delivery, as well as our strengths and weaknesses in our business. So just a reminder again, this is a Udemy course and it has been designed for the Udemy platform. If you're viewing it elsewhere, we're really sorry, but it's probably pirated, and as such it won't contain all of the updated lectures and you can't get in contact with us either. So if you'd like to contact udemy.com and have a chat with them. But if you are watching it on Udemy, then this is the point where we start making our decisions. So for example, some of the areas we have to decide in are how many lectures to put in, how many presentations, questions and answers, large group, small group exercises. Are we going to include some fun role play simulations? Are we going to include some case studies? And if we are going to include case studies, are we going to include pre-prepared ones, which the client has agreed, or are we going to be brave enough to suggest that a participant in the room may provide a case study around what's going on at the moment? We always work with the latter. We always ask someone to give us an example and we will write it up. But we'll change a little bit around it. So we'll say, well, let's make this slightly tougher and we'll add a little bit around it. We'll change names so it's completely anonymous, even though the people there will be from the same organisation. But it's getting that framework around the case studies right. We'll also be looking at what processes we're going to include, if we're going to have some fun and creative exercises in there, if we're going to have any joint adventures, perhaps with people from their back at headquarters coming over, and what sort of creative activities are we going to use. We've also got to make some serious decisions around our structure, what timing we're going to have. Are we going to offer blended learning? So can we have more fun on the day by offering a pre-course e-learning and an action planning workbook to take away, because that will free up some of the day so we can have a little bit more fun and engaging learning. Also, what are the company's previous experiences of learning? You can't design a training course which is really fun and funky and way out there if you've got a whole load of people who are used to being talked at. Although they might enjoy it, the risk is the client will feel that you haven't provided value. And what are their expectations around their learning culture? That they will be able to go off at the end of the day and do what you've asked? Or is the expectation this is an introduction and a first step to being able to do something? It's a little bit hit and miss, but it's also, from our point of view, it's also mix and mix. So mixing it up keeps people engaged, and that way you can avoid talking at people all day. The ideal is that you will present an idea in the morning, get someone to practice it through, and by the end of the day the group will be representing it back to you, having fully understood the concept. Lastly, in terms of decisions, we have lots of different ages in the room generally. So we have lots of millennials and we have Generation Xers. The time span varies, and certainly with millennials the thought always is not particularly I need to get through this quickly, but their belief always is, having grown up with the internet, that there's always something better out there. So they've always got their eye on the next thing, whereas a Generation Xer has a little bit more concentration power and they will work on what they've got in front of them. That's the difference that we have to incorporate into the training forum. Flexibility is obviously really important, and this is where you can have your plan B. So you can have some online content standing by in case something happens on the course. So you can say to people, well, we're going to do a follow-up and we're going to send you an e-learning which summarises all the learning we've covered today. So think about being flexible and being quite robust in your response. User manuals are a really good idea because the clients value them. Films, excellent idea. If you can film a little couple of slots during the day, you can include those in your after film coursework. Follow-up resources: if you've promised someone on the day that you're going to follow up with something, then we need to make sure we do it. But we also need to give feedback to our clients to ensure that we've fulfilled their priorities. So we've had a great training day, we've covered all the learning objectives, but from the client's point of view, we want them to be singing and dancing about it as well. In running your own business, it always does come down to your choice. So if a client asks you to do a full day of presentations and talking at people, that's your choice around whether you're going to take that gig or not. Sometimes we've said no because we really don't believe that's a great way of learning, and consequently we've lost the business, but we know that we're not responsible for being linked to dull, ineffective training, and for us as a brand that's really important. We're also looking at balancing time restraints all the time, return on investment for the client, what are their priorities and what are our priorities. We're always looking for whatever's new or innovative because we are a great believer that there's masses of information out there, we just need to find it. And we are often willing to put in a lot of untested technology within our courses. You have to be a little bit brave to do that, and in your plan B you always have to have something that you can put in place, but we think sometimes it's worth taking the risk.